Back for your fix. It's week 4 NFL picks against the spread on Lit Sports Online. Now Chris isn't joining us the table with us this week, but we will have his picks at the end of the video. Gerald, what's the first game?
First game is Chicago at Green Bay. Chicago has a plus 7.5.
Yeah, Chicago's really tempting here, and it is a division rivalry game, but I still like Green Bay, and I just figured they might be able to win this by 9 or 10 points. I'll take Green Bay.
Now. Chicago did beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in overtime. That is very tempting. That is a very tempting bet. You know what? I'm going with Chicago. I'm going to shake it up a little.
I can't blame you. I thought about picking them, but Green Bay, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, big points. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Next up, our first Sunday game, New Orleans versus Miami. New Orleans has a negative 1.5 spread. They're playing away this week.
I like New Orleans here. That's not a wide spread for me to be tempted to pick Miami. And Miami just came off a bad loss to the Jets, so I'm going to go with New Orleans.
Yeah, you get mollywopped by the Jets. I'm not picking you. I'm going New Orleans.
That's an easy one.
That's an easy one.
Line up your bets on that one, fellas.
Yeah, because, I'm sorry, Jay Cutler, no. Just no. Next up, we had the LA Rams travel into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. And what looks to be, LA has a plus 8. Wow.
Yeah, I'm taking
you guys shit.
I gotta say, I'm taking Rams plus 8 all day on this one. I mean, that the Cowboys defense has been carved up by like pretty much everyone they played, and I know the Rams got carved up pretty well by the 49ers last week as well. But it's plus 8. I mean, why would I not pick my team on this one?
Jared Goff's going to Dallas. There's no way in the world he's covering that, man.
Oh, he's going to Dallas.
He's not going to Dallas.
Oh, that's not the Mile High Stadium, Gerald. That's not the Mile High Stadium. That is Dallas.
It's Jared Goff. What has he done in his career?
He's showing stuff now. Hey, second year and actually having an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing.
Whatever. It's still not enough for me to give him the pick. I'm going Dallas this week. Thank you. Enough said.
Minus 8. Jesus Christ. Are you serious?
If you think it's going to be a close game because they had a competitive game against the 49ers, is that your logic? The 49ers suck on ice.
Well, I think the 49ers were lucky to get it that close at the end. So
I don't know. They scored enough points for it. Next up, Jacksonville travels to New York to take on the Jets, and they have a negative 4.5 spread. Now, not to mention they did just come off a pretty impressive victory against my Ravens. And that is all I'm going to say about
that. Well, you know, the Jets came off of a pretty impressive performance themselves against the Dolphins. But, yeah, I'm going to take Jacksonville here, minus 4.5. The Jets probably aren't going to have forte for this game. Not that it matters that much. I actually like Powell better. But, yeah, I just feel like what the Jets did was more of an aberration. I don't see it happening again.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jacksonville. I mean, they looked impressive. I know there was a long travel across the ocean to England and all this stuff, but I honestly think Jacksonville might be the real deal, give or take that they can beat the Titans. They definitely may be able to make a run for the AFC South this year. So I'm going with Jacksonville.
Especially if Andrew Luck ends up coming back super late in the year, which is a possibility.
He doesn't even want to be there, honestly. Next up, a rivalry game that has really no interest whatsoever. Cincinnati travels to Cleveland, and Cincinnati has a negative 2.5 spread on this one. Who you got?
For the sake of my fantasy teams, I'm taking Cincinnati. And I'm going to bet on Dalton actually showing up like he did somewhat last week against the Packers. He finally showed some signs of life. And going into Cleveland, I mean, hey, I couldn't blame you if you picked the Browns here at the plus 2.5, but I just feel like the Bengals are looking to get their first win here.
I want the Browns to win, honestly. I think it would just be hilarious if Cincinnati can keep this losing streak. I just think it would be hilarious for me, honestly. And I like Cleveland, this young squad. I like some of the players that they got there. So I'm going with Cleveland, honestly. They're at home. Give them a field goal.
Dalton, don't shit the bed this week. I'm starting you in both leagues.
Sucks. Why are you starting Dalton? Why is that a thing?
Because it's a good matchup. It's freaking Cleveland.
It's Dalton! He didn't even score a touchdown in his first game.
Scored 2 on the Packers. Scored 2 on the Packers. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough. Whatever. Next up, we got Buffalo traveling to Atlanta, in which Atlanta has a negative 8.5. Jeez. Calling for a blowout in this one.
I don't understand it. I mean, Buffalo's not an amazing team by any stretch, but plus 8.5, I'm going to take Buffalo here. I just feel, and plus they got a pretty good run defense, so if they can't get that dynamic duo going in the backfield, yeah, I can see this being a closer game than that.
Yeah, this is almost disrespectful, almost, in a sense. Like, you're not giving Buffalo a chance in any way, shape, or form. Again, though, Atlanta is at home. We'll see what Matt Ryan can do. I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to go for Atlanta, though.
Okay.
Next up, an AFC South matchup. Tennessee takes on Houston in Houston. Houston has a plus 2.5.
God, this one is actually pretty tough. There's a lot of people calling for Deshaun Watson to go off in this game against Tennessee's defense.
You hate Deshaun Watson.
Who, admittedly, I said Deshaun was going to be a bust, and hey, jury's still out. It's not the end of the year yet, but let's see here. Tennessee. You know what? No, I'm going to go with Tennessee. Tennessee's too dynamic on both sides of the ball. I feel like to only a 2.5. I'll go with Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going to say it like this. The X factor for sure is Mariota. He can run, he can pass, he can do the whole damn thing. And I think he's going to do it in Houston. So I'm going Tennessee. Next up, we have Carolina traveling to New England, where New England has a negative 8.5 spread.
Yeah, this is another one that is pretty tough because of the spread. I'll take New England minus 8.5. I mean, it is close just because that's a wide margin, but Carolina's pretty iffy thus far in the year, and they lost some. I think they lost Olsen the whole year, so
yeah,
they got some problems.
Yeah, again, I'm not too convinced on New England's defense, honestly, and that's what really worries me when you think about Carolina's offense with Cam Newton back there. Again, like I said last week, the game really depends on Cam Newton's health. But for the sake of my fantasy team, I think Tom Brady's going to go off against Carolina's defense, honestly. So I'm going with New England. And next up, biggest game of the week for me, Pittsburgh travels into Baltimore to take on the Ravens, in which should be probably one of the better games of the week. Ravens have a plus 2.5 spread. Now, given the fact, hold on, Marshall Yonda's out. That O-line looked atrocious. I mean, this is a tough one, but again, I don't care how banged up both teams are. They both come to play in these games.
Yeah, I'd prefer to take the home team with a plus 2.5. I mean, I understand the Ravens came off of a molly whooping from the from the Jags, but that was, I mean, it was in their first game abroad ever, and they might not have known how to handle that. This is a division rivalry at home, so with the plus 2.5 and being at home, I think that's the safer pick.
Point blank and simple. Defense wins championships, and Baltimore's defense is going to be looking for blood this week. I have no doubt they're going to be in that backfield. The offense, not sure what I can say right now with Marshall Yonda out. But, I mean, if the line can hold up just enough to game manage and allow Joe Flacco enough plays to put some points on the board, I think the Ravens got this one. It's going to be a close one down to the wire. Again, that's why they give you the 2.5 spread. I think the Ravens are going to pick up a victory here. And
again, with the Ravens, I feel like it's one of those stadiums where the home field advantage actually makes a big difference.
Yeah.
There's some stadiums where I don't feel like it does, but in Baltimore, I feel like it does a lot of the time.
I mean, it's going to be a very tough game. Very tough. Probably one of the better games of the week again. But next up, we have Detroit traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, and the Vikings have, at home, a negative 3 spread. Now, again, Case Keenum, that kid played like an all-star last week. What's going to happen this week?
So, I mean, I'm benching Stafford in fantasy. I'm just throwing that out there right now.
Why? Why are you benching Stafford? Wait, what?
Because the tough defense. But even still, I like Detroit with +3 regardless, because Case Keenum out there, I mean, look, we know who Case Keenum is this point in his career.
But do we?
Yes, we do. We do. Okay, he's a below average talent quarterback that, on a rare occasion, can have a good game. Is it going to repeat? I don't think so. So I'm going to go with Detroit here, +3.
Oh, this is a tough one. I mean, I think honestly, if the Case Keenum of last week shows up, it could be an ugly game. I don't know who that Case Keenum was. That Case Keenum was a first-round draft pick, never lost a game in college, Case Keenum, that never actually existed. But I think if Detroit's defense can get in that backfield and cause that kid to run around, I think there's going to be trouble to be said. So, honestly, I am going to go with Detroit. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that also gets overlooked is Detroit's defense been pretty
Detroit's
impressive
defense
this year.
is nasty. They are. I'm not even going to talk about their offense because their defense has been so dominant. Next up, we have Philly traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. What are your thoughts?
So Philly's a +1.
You were for +1. Yeah.
Phillip Rivers just came off a week where he shit the bed against Kansas City. I think he's going to shit the bed again, to be honest with you. I'm going to take Philly on this one, +1.
You make your bet and you line. I'm going with Philly too, honestly. They're a hot team, and I think, honestly, and I'm going to say this on camera. Chris, sorry you're not here to say this. NFC East champions, Philadelphia Eagles right here. I'm calling it. They're looking good, and I think they're going to keep it up, so I'm going with Philly this week. Next up, we have the Giants traveling to Tampa to take on the Bucks, and the Giants have a +4 spread.
I don't think it's enough, +4. I actually like Tampa here. Tampa's been fairly strong so far this year, and at home they seem to really get it together. I'll go with them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Giants, they're not showed up. They haven't showed up this year, and I don't think they're going to show up in this game. I think Tampa's going to get a home victory here this week. So next week, San Francisco, after probably one of the better games in the last 20 years in their history, goes to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. And Arizona has a -6 spread.
This is a little tough. If this was in San Fran, I'd probably take San Fran. But because Arizona's the home team, and because San Fran's had such a track record in recent memory of not being good at all, I'm actually going to take Arizona -6 here.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't think San Francisco's production last week was something that's going to become the culture in San Francisco. So I'm definitely going to go with the Cardinals this week. They're at home. I don't think they're going to have a problem. Next up, Oakland Raiders travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. And the Broncos have, well, it's just an open bet. It's an open one at this point, so there's no spread whatsoever.
So a straight pick'em here. Oakland at Denver, huh?
Yeah. I'm
going to go with Denver. I mean, it's...
Really?
I just love picking Denver in the Mile High Stadium. I don't know what it is, but that they got a great defense. I don't know, maybe Derek Carr just doesn't show up this week.
I don't know. I don't think I'm a bet against Derek Carr. I think he's honestly going to show up. I mean, it's a rivalry game here. Why wouldn't he? I think honestly he's going to go into Denver and show these boys what's up. Next up, in our Sunday night game, Indianapolis travels to Seattle, in which Seattle has a -11.5 spread.
One of the wider spreads we've seen.
This is a
far
trap
this
game,
season.
dude.
And yeah, I'm going to take Indianapolis +11.5. I think that's a nice margin of safety. And Jacoby Brissett has actually been impressing in his recent starts.
Yeah.
I think they can keep it close enough that they'll cover that spread.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm going to take Indianapolis here. I mean, again, Seattle's O-line has been abysmal, to say the least. And Brissett, he definitely picked up where he left off when he was starting for the Patriots when Tom Brady was out on suspension. I think, honestly, that's going to be enough to carry him to cover this spread. I don't know if they're going to win this game, but it's enough to cover the spread. I think they're going to keep it close.
I'd be shocked if they won, but they've got to lose by more than a touchdown and a field goal. So yeah. I don't think that's really going to happen.
And on our Monday night game, we had D.C., the Washington Redskins, traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, in which the Chiefs have a -7.5 spread at home.
I'm actually going to take the Chiefs here. I know I've been picking Washington a lot so far this year, but they're at home. Kareem Hunt has not slowed down in any of his games. He just keeps rolling. Kansas City has an offense this year. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, like we said in weeks past, Alex Smith has found his system. He's found something that works for him. Kareem Hunt, who I think for sure may be a Rookie of the Year candidate. And that defense for Kansas City, they're no slouches either. And plus, they're my defense in fantasy football, so I need them to do good. Yeah, I think at home, prime time, yeah, they're going to cover it. I'm going Kansas City.
Even with Eric Berry gone, last week they picked off Rivers a couple times and let him throw a touchdown. This defense still has something to say.
They still got
one
weapons.
of their top players.
Yeah, seriously, they still got weapons. Nothing to count them out. And against the Kirk Cousins, who, again, it's Kirk Cousins. I don't really have faith in him. So,
yeah, he's been a disappointment so far.
Yeah, so I think, honestly, some good games this week. And again, we're going to have Chris's picks at the end of this.
Yeah, so that's going to do it, guys. I think there's definitely, if you're gambling on these spreads this week, there's some interesting ones to make bets on. I mean, we've highlighted a few for you. So stay tuned each week. We'll give you our picks, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, and sorry about our last week's picks. Jeez, we did horrible.
It happens.
Well, we plan to bounce back this week. So, again, don't forget to comment below. Let us know what you think about our picks. Also, don't forget to subscribe and follow us all over social media. Take care and have a great night.